Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers Science Academy Bengaluru. This is topic of the day. Today we'll discuss one of the significant shift in the current geopolitics, that is the Pakistan and Saudi Arabia strategic defense deal, and what will be its implications on Saudi Arabia, Pakistan as well as India. So Saudi Pakistan deal and strategic dilemma for India. What is the this is Saudi Arabia's map, you can see. So it is surrounded by Abu Dhabi, United Emirates, Oman, Yemen, Iran, who is its chief competitor of chief rival of Iran, and this is Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Egypt. All these countries surround Saudi Arabia. So it is one of the key player in Middle Eastern region, and this is Pakistan. Consider the proximity to Pakistan. So, and this is India, as we know. So Pakistan is more closely connected to Saudi Arabia. Now, what is the trigger here? Strategic Defense Pact. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan concluded a strategic mutual defense agreement, and the key clauses are: any aggression against either country shall be considered as an aggression against both. Sounds familiar? So this is the principle that is followed in NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, headed by USA and its European counterparts. European counterparts. So this NATO was initially brought by the USA to fight or counter USSR. Okay, counter USSR. That any attack on any NATO members will be considered as attack on every member. So that is the principle that is being followed in this particular case. So many consider it to be a precursor to Islamic NATO. Precursor to Islamic NATO. This is significant because recently Israel carried out an attack not in Palestine, not in Syria, not in Jordan, but in Qatar. Qatar, a chief or key player in the Middle East or Gulf countries. So this is where Qatar is. Okay, so Qatar, this is a key player in the Middle Eastern country. He was attacked by Israel in the broad daylight to kill Gaza's representatives who were going there for some sort of meeting. So they understood we cannot leave Israel like this. We already fought with Israel previously, but we have lost those wars. But now there is a need for regrouping. There is a need to bring Islamic nations together. So this particular pact is seen to be or considered to be a precursor to precursor to Islamic NATO. If you want to know more about Islamic NATO, I already made a video on this one where I discussed about the previous attempts by Saudi Arabia to bring Islamic NATO into fruition and what is happening in the current context. Now we stick to India, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Seen as a diplomatic setback for India, especially after the April 2025 Pahalgam terror attack and subsequent Operation Sindoor. So, a country which India considers to be its friend, that is Saudi Arabia. When a terrorist attack happens in India, we expect neighbors or we expect the partners of India to condemn the terror attacks. Instead, what happened in this case? They are not only condemning, not only refusing to condemn the act, they have went upon and went ahead and made a pact with the country which committed these terror attacks, which is a real strategy setback for India. And immediately after the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor, we saw kind of propaganda against India, where the US, Pakistan's fake claims of shooting, shooting down 6 Indian aircrafts was falsely promoted in both China, Saudi Arabia, and all the countries. So it was considered a sort of a strategic or propaganda defeat for India, which was seen as some sort of loss of soft power for India as well. Okay, moving on to this one. Next. So India's efforts to isolate Pakistan fall shorts, because India at every given occasion is trying to isolate Pakistan because of its terrorist tendencies. India says attacks can happen only when the terrorism is not involved. So it tries to isolate Pakistan everywhere. India sought internationally quarantine Pakistan post terror attacks. India went ahead with FATF. India tried to influence FATF countries, G7 countries, G20 countries, and also in the United Nations General Assembly and UN Security Nations as well. But all the platforms possible, India tried to accuse Pakistan of its terror attacks. But this particular event undermines all this. Instead, Islamabad now has secured Saudi backing and gained geopolitical leverage despite internal crisis in Pakistan. So Riyadh even engaged in quiet diplomacy during India-Pakistan military exchanges in the mid 2025. Okay, so despite the fights that are happening between India and Pakistan, many countries, including Saudi Arabia and majorly Turkey and majorly Azerbaijan and Malaysia, were openly supporting Pakistan, and none of the countries in the world, except maybe Israel, supported India. So that itself shows the isolation of India that it is experiencing in the current context. So not only the online hate or not only the Trump-led Tariq force against India, but all these strategic misalignments are also pointing to some sort of systematic isolation of India instead. But India, being the strategically autonomic country that it is overcoming all these things. But this particular event is a threat to India and its strategic autonomy. So, what is the significance of this pact? For Riyadh, Pakistan military expertise, which is going to be critical for domestic and regional security. Obviously, Saudi Arabia sees some sort of outcome or some sort of benefit out of Pakistan, because Pakistan is the only Islamic country with nuclear weapons, only Islamic country with nuclear weapons. So, which keeps Pakistan as a key partner in these kind of situations whenever there is a Islamic nations involved. So, and Pakistan also sees itself as a protector of Ummah. Ummah is the Muslim Brotherhood or Muslim Brotherhood. So Pakistan sees itself as a protector of Ummah, and considering the significance of Pakistan that it has nuclear powers, all the Islamic countries also respect Pakistan in a way. And the Islamabad nuclear file remains a latent bargaining chip. So only reason, one of the main reason for Saudi Arabia to strategically align with Pakistan is to isolate Iran. How? By acquiring nuclear weapons. Okay, Iran itself has its own nuclear strategy or nuclear weapons or nuclear program that is happening, which keeps on getting disturbed by Israel or USA. But if Iran is able to get the nuclear powers, then the first country which has to be worried is Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia understands this issue, understands the problem that Iran faces or Iran puts upon them. So as a result, they are also trying to get their own nuclear powers. And the most easiest way to get the nuclear power is to get the files which already know how to make nuclear powers. That is Islamabad nuclear file, which Islamabad itself stole from USA. You have to read the story. That is very interesting. And for Pakistan, it restores its ties after strengths. That is in 2015, refused to send troops to Yemen, adds sheen to its image as the Islamic world's nuclear power. Next, so unbreakable foundations or fundamentals of the Saudi-Pakistan axis. India has been increasing its ties with the Gulf nations, especially Qatar, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and all the Jordan, etc. India has been actively involved in these countries. India is actively involved in building its software. India is actively involved in making the strategic cooperation between these countries. But despite all the short-term gains that India has made over the period of time, it is not equal to the foundational values or the civilizational values. What are those? That is, it is mainly rooted in Islam, ideology, and the theology. That is Sunniism. That is what binds Pakistan and Saudi Arabia together, and that is what separates Pakistan and Saudi Arabia from Iran, because Iran is a majority Shiite country. Okay. Next, these civilizational linkages outweigh short-term political irritants. Despite India's deepening outreach to the Gulf countries, the idea that Arab states can be institutionally pried away from Pakistan is misguided. Okay, so we cannot trust upon these Islamic countries or trust upon the Gulf countries to fight against Pakistan or have a word against Pakistan, because for them the foundation values is Islam, ideology, and the theology. So that takes the center stage all the time. And Riyadh's strategic autonomy versus India's risk aversion. Saudi Arabia, similar to India, is pursuing strategic autonomy, multipolarity, and multi-alignment. And also it is trying to showcase itself as a leader of Gulf countries, and it is trying to showcase itself as a regional power in the Gulf region. So it is similar. These principles are mirror or similar to India's own aspirations of foreign policy, but this may place India and Riyadh on opposite ends of the regional crisis, and it can undermine India's hope of steady alignment between India and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia also wants to be the voice of global south, and India also wants to be the voice of global south. So both these countries are on the clash point. Next, India's challenge is slow risk our strategic thinking that remains too idealistic and detached from the realities. So India has to be more pragmatic. India should not be very idealistic nowadays because the idealist is not going to be working in current in geopolitics, because you have to be a real politic in order to survey the current geopolitics. Next, the message for India. The pact is less about the immediate threat but more of a trailer of shifting geopolitics. Imagine in the coming days, Pakistan attacks India again, any terror attacks. Okay, any terror attacks against India. So India has to respond to Pakistan. India has to respond to Pakistan. So India attacks. So India is going to attack Pakistan, and now because of this treaty, Saudi Arabia is obligated to attack India. So imagine the situation. India is not only fighting one war with Pakistan, but also has to face another formidable opponent in Saudi Arabia. And as usual, Pakistan also has the backing of China. It has the backing of China all the time. And Pakistan also has the backing of Turkey. Pakistan also has the backing of Malaysia. And also has the backing of Azerbaijan. So what should India do? India, instead of like trying to appease them, instead of trying to appease these countries, instead of trying to appease Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, has to be more pragmatic. So who is the opponent of Azerbaijan? Support Armenia. Whenever there is a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, India has to support Armenia. Whenever there is a war between Turkey, Greece, or any other opponents of Greece, Turkey, India has to support Greek. India has to support other countries. India has to support Kurdistan. Whenever there is an issue with Malaysia, India has to support Indonesia. India has to support Philippines. So India also has to be more pragmatic. India also has to follow the paths which is going to hurt them more, when take the points which is going to hurt them more. Okay, so India has to consider these situations in the future and has to be more pragmatic. India cannot afford fence sitting or excessive pacifism. So must accept risks of power projection in the turbulent environments, and strategic thought must adapt realpolitik, as I explained to realpolitik, and not remain bound by the caution. Okay, so it has a realpolitik, the strategy or strategic autonomy or the national interest must be at the forefront. So throw away the realism and be realpolitik. And the Pakistan's army has leveraged global disruptions to stay relevant. India must act before the opportunities close as well. So India must also act towards these cases and make its own strategies. Okay, so this is a significant event in the current geopolitical context, which is going to be very important for India and Saudi Arabia and India's future as well. So this is the current topic of the day. If you like the video and if you got anything out of this, then please hit the like button and comment on the video as well, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss a notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.